1, 2, 3, 4. What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. You know, I'm so dumb. As I was, I listen to my own podcast, so I'm listening to that, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was waiting to hear the what up, y'all. I was like, oh shit, I gotta do that. I'm the guy that has to do that. Just want to give you a little insight of my mindset right now as we get going. Episode 68 here. Decriminalize it. Decriminalize it. So I wrote that. Originally, it was legalize it. As I just like to scream that from time to time at the top of my lungs. Well, back in my younger days, just walking down the street and just scream legalize it. And you know what it is. I didn't have to say too much. Just walk down the street and scream legalize it. I used to be a woo girl, back in my day. It's just real loud in the streets. Real loud. If I can be candid here, probably my first interaction with Officer Schwartz, Dr. Trapp. What the fuck am I thinking about? My first interaction with Officer Schwartz would definitely be, was definitely legit. I was loud as fuck, like, on a Saturday night, walking around this east side over here. You know what I'm saying? He was perfectly in the right to stop me. It's like, nigga, you over here wilding. But I was a woo girl, I'd go around and go, woo! And then get everybody to woo back because I was a woo girl. I was just a loud-ass nigga. Just a loud-ass nigga. I'm joking. I wasn't a woo girl until I moved to Madison. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the social medias. If you want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, the handle is @Babylon5Pod, where I do my live tweeting on Twitter from @Babylon5Pod. I post daily on the Babylon 5 Pod Instagram. I post my name's Jermaine. Those are my personal accounts. Whenever I'm feel liking. If you guys, the Jermaine you get here is an open book, ladies and gentlemen. I guess the Jermaine you get on Twitter could be an open book, but the Babylon 5 Jermaine you get the Babylon 5 account, so that's more of an open book. So, I guess I just don't really use the personal account, but I have it because I was making music for years before I made this podcast, so there was no Babylon 5. Before we go on any further, shout out to Lady Gaga. I was listening, checked out her latest album. Her last track on there is fucking called Babylon. Shit's like gossip, Babylon, blah, 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 whatever. But, anywho, I was like, she spells it like the Babylonian times, but, which is a play on it, but she's like gossip, Babylon, which, like, the whole thing is, like, her metaphor, but at the same time talking, and it's like, this is more so should be spelled the way I spell it because of what she's actually saying in the song. Shout out to her. I'm pretty sure she heard this podcast, and it just, like, inspired Lady Gaga to make that song Babylon. So shout out to her for being a fan of the podcast. She doesn't have to admit it. But let's just say if you know, you know. If you guys want to email this podcast for any reason, go ahead. It's Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you guys got Xbox, go ahead and add me. Gamer tag is SauceToBoss414. If niggas is on Twitch, go ahead and add a brother. I be trying to throw that hard R out there, but it's just hard to get used to throwing that hard R. If you've never really thrown the hard R out there, like, I say brother, but I'm trying to, like, I'm trying to get in the habit to say brother. Throw that hard R out there. Just, I try to take it back. I just got to pretend like I'm in the NWO or something, like I'm a wrestler in the 90s or some shit. Let me tell you something, brother. Like, I'm too brother. You know what I'm saying? But not for any kind of reason like that, other than the fact that I just think it would be interesting, like personally to myself, to just see people react to me calling them brother all the time. Oh, no problem, brother. It's how I live my life. So, if you got Twitch, go ahead and add a brother at twitch.tv/Babylon5. Go ahead and check out the merch at teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. Go ahead and support the podcast, all right? Don't be my Negro, be my patron. Be my patron. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. If you niggas is on TikTok, go ahead and add a brother at Babylon5podcast. Where like normal things I post will get minimal interaction, but the fucking nonsense that I post is fucking blowing up, my nigga. Well, it's not nonsense. Like, I posted a clip. I don't know if you niggas seen, it was like years ago, Complex put out a video of, it was like niggas won a contest to do a song with Papoose. And, and he pranked him. It was a prank. But, like, they did a song, they were in the studio, they spit their verse, then Papoose goes in the booth and disses them. Just freestyles, like, some bars, dissing them. And I posted a clip on it, because there's just, like, a dope-ass moment where this dude, he, after Papoose disses him, like, Papoose is like, all right, I'm getting out of here, and he's walking out, and the dude, he's a small guy, he jumps up, and he says, hey, look me in my eyes. It's like, look me in my face, all right? Remember me. I'm gonna make it, all right? Look at me. I'm gonna make it. Like, he was the only person that, like, stood up for himself, really. Like, other people were like, yeah, I'll write bars, and, like, they wrote verses to go back at Papoose after he left. But that dude, like, made sure, like, to say something directly to Papoose. Like, you're not gonna say that shit about me and leave up out of here. So I just, like, posted that. I think that moment's pretty dope, where he stands up for himself. Like, it's just, usually, well, as I'm saying, like, he's the only person there. It was probably, like, 7 other rappers that they were pranking with this same bit, and they'd cut through. And he's the only person that was like, yo. And, like, the one person, like, it's like, there's one, like, black dude or whatever, and he's dissing Papoose in his verse. Papoose, like, part of the prank where Papoose comes back, and Papoose hears the verse where the dude's saying things about Papoose, and he's just like, hey, yo, man, what the fuck is that about? And the dude was like, hey, yo, no, I didn't mean no respect. It was just like, I thought that's what we were doing. He was like, nah, man, I wasn't dissing you, man. What, you got a problem? And, like, the dude's like Papoose is, like, pretending to get angry. He's, like, getting closer to the dude in the studio. There's, like, tables and shit. And, like, the dude's like, nah, man, I'm just saying, like, you diss me, so if you diss me, then, like, yeah, I'm dissing you, and, like, Papoose just starts moving everything that's in between them, like, to the side, and, like, the dude is, like, moving, but, like, he's like, no, man, I'm just saying, like, I didn't mean to, like, disrespect you, it's, like, as, like, Papoose is, like, starting to move this shit and get real serious, he's just like, no, man, like, I didn't mean to, like, disrespect you or anything like that. But yeah, I posted that clip because I thought that little guy, being the only one, like, out of all those rappers bragging about all that shit they were talking, he comes in, Papoose, this guy, and just shit on him. And he was the only one that, like, really stood up for himself. It was pretty dope moment. But we've never heard of that guy again. Never heard of that guy since. But that clip I posted that clip for it was 20 seconds. That had 18,000 views on it, plenty fucking likes. So I was like, that's random. Then I posted, I don't know if you niggas seen on World Star. That's where I seen it originally. I posted the clip and I just put the caption, conditioning or coincidence, where last year on Project Runway, they had a fucking contestant on there named COVID, spelled with a K instead of a C. And the bitch's, pardon me, the lady's outfit had a mask attachment with it. And the woman was like, I remember at one point the woman was like, it started off yo, can you please just put the mask, can you please put the mask back on, just because, just to see it with the outfit. It's how the clip starts. And it's just weird that a year ago, in April, it was April of 2019, a contestant named COVID made an outfit designed with a mask. What? That kind of did pretty well. Last time I checked, I haven't been on there today. Ain't been on there today. So I called this episode Decriminalize It. Decriminalize It. Whatever the fuck that means, man. Whatever the fuck that means. I mean, I remember being in Madison and smoking weed in front of the cops. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was crazy. I thought niggas was ready to get arrested or some shit. I'm like, this ain't the time for protests, my nigga. This is this must have been, because I moved to Madison in 2011, so this must have been sometime before that I remember, just being up in Madison and smoking in front of the police. And it was because it's decriminalized there. We'd be smoking weed outside. They do a shit up there called Harvest Fest in the fall, where people just go down to State Street and they fucking smoke weed outside. Or maybe they go to the square. Which would be fucking nutty, even nuttier to me. But I thought it was I thought it was over by State Street, because just this little wide open area space where people be doing shit. I think that's where it was, where it's Harvest Fest. Niggas just come down there and smoke together. I doubt niggas is gonna be doing some shit like that anytime soon. With COVID with a K out here, dropping these fucking fashion bombs on niggas. So yeah, it was decriminalized. So it's what the fuck does that mean? And as far as I saw, when I looked it up when I lived in Madison, it was as far as how they had it, I'm sure things will be however they are, however they make it, but it was we could have up to I think 27, 28 grams, which is an ounce. You can have an ounce on you, and I think anything more than that, you could get a fine. I think, you could get fined, but you probably, nothing more than that is what it was like in Madison. So when they announced this, that Congress passes the vote to decriminalize, I was like, oh, shit. It is what it is. It's fucking December 4th. It's Hov's birthday. That shit went through Congress on Hov's birthday. So I was like, oh, that's a great day for Hov's birthday. But at the same time, I was like, man, it's got to be a catch. Because I was like, it don't feel legal. Or it don't feel decriminalized. I was like, if something changed, I'd feel it. And I was like, something don't feel right. There's something we're missing. I shared it on Facebook, Congress passed it, and right away, niggas is sharing it like crazy. Everybody's sharing it except the right people. I need the right people to share them articles. And I read through the article. And I'm just sitting here, and as the days are passing, I'm just looking through here, and I'm like, there's got to be something I'm not, that I know that I'm looking for, that I'm not seeing, that's gonna be like, psych. You know what I'm saying? In a way, like metaphorically, psych, nigga. Because it seemed like niggas was excited, but and then I saw some shit that was like, well, it don't really matter because it still has to pass through the majority Republican Senate. And I was like, nigga, that's the same story. Why didn't, and that's probably why I subconsciously was like, I don't think this means anything. Because niggas ain't finna let you do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is not finna let you do anything. So I was like, I was like, oh, that seems cool, but like, on the other side of it, I was like, nah, this probably doesn't mean anything at all. And it's like, nope, House, it's got to go through the fucking Senate full of Republicans who only 5 people in the Congress, 5 Republicans voted yes for this to pass for decriminalization on a federal level. And now it's got to go through the majority Republican Senate. And see, this is why I was stressing, like, before the election that, like, it doesn't stop with that election. It doesn't stop with the presidential election. I feel like a lot of people look at the presidential election like as if they go about it where it's like, I have these issues, right? And this person is saying he's going to deal with them. Then they vote for that person. And now the fucking people kick their feet up and just say, fucking, all right, get this done. Like, I voted for you, I showed up, now get this done if you want me to show up in 4 years. And if you don't get these things done, like, we'll hold it all against you because you promised it. And it's like, but you didn't help, nigga. Yeah, you voted in the presidential election, but everything else is fully Republican because you're not paying attention. Because you don't care. Because you don't know that this fucking fight doesn't start and end with the presidential election. This isn't the only thing. This isn't the end-all, be-all. That's one thing people need to fucking realize. Like, it's fucking nutty, so nothing ever gets done. Remember when Obama was president, they were like, oh, he's supposed to do all this shit? Though that nigga's weird. But they were like, he's supposed to do all this shit? And it's like, oh, well, he can't, because the House full of Republicans, so nobody can pass anything, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, oh, shit, Donald Trump's president, and we could get people need stimulus bills, but we can't get stimulus bills because Nancy Pelosi's a Democrat who thinks we do need it, but she doesn't want to meet with Donald Trump and let him get the credit because fuck everybody else. This is all a game. It's all a game. That weak-ass nigga Obama, y'all remember when that weak-ass nigga went to Flint, Michigan and told niggas it was okay to drink the water and had the glass of water from Flint and was like, this water's perfectly fine. Tilted the cup up. Not a drop of water touched that nigga's skin. He pretended to drink a glass of water. He pretended to take a sip of water in Flint, Michigan while telling everybody the water was safe. That's the president you guys are championing. Championing, if I'm saying that correctly, but if that's a word. He did that then, and apparently he fucking mocked it recently. What was the article? I saw it, but I was just like, fuck this dude, man. Let me search for it. That's your boy. That's your boy. I said all those things. I remember when I put out that song High, people were pretty upset about that. because I said shit like, I'll trade that black president for 40 acres and a mule, and people were pretty upset about that. But I felt like, I mean, I as a young boy, I mean, I haven't reassessed these opinions since I've had them. But as a young boy, I used to think that, like, you know, as a black people, if black people were owed anything in a nation, you know what I'm saying, as far as from oppression and all that, I felt like they gave us Obama, this black president pacifier, where it's just like, it's almost like, at that point, in the eyes of the people in debt, the people that owe, in their opinions, once they give the people this black fucking Obama, the debt swiped clean. Everything's erased, because yeah, bad shit happened here, but now a black person has risen to the highest office in the nation. All is done, because how else could it not be done? How else could a black person make it all the way to the highest office in America if all that shit isn't done and over with? If America's clearly not racist anymore because we got Obama in office. That's how a lot of people, like, publicly fucking thought when Obama was in office. I fucking said those opinions out loud, you fucking pieces of shit. That dude's a fucking puppet. But he just mocked it again. I forget what he was talking about, man. He just fucking did the whole Flint water trick again. I forget what it was, but I was like, man, fuck this nigga. Fuck that nigga. She drop it down to the floor. I'm like, shorty, you can go. She like, fuck that nigga. She drop it down with me. That's some random Bad G Unit. I think that's a Tony Yayo verse. I wasn't the biggest fan of Tony Yayo. Like, I wasn't really a fan at all, but, like, he had verses where I was like, it ain't, like, super lyrical, but you niggas like Snoop Dogg, all right? If you niggas like Snoop Dogg, then don't hate on any of my musical opinions as far as hip-hop's concerned. Because that man cannot rap. Bow, wow, 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 wow. Oh, for shizzle, my nizzle. Like, he made up words, and you niggas was like, oh, he's so cool. Who's this pootie tang ass rapper? You niggas was like, he's so cool. This nigga made up words. I remember when I started, like, publicly just shutting down people who were just talking about how good Snoop Dogg was. They bring up their examples of, like, fire songs, and I'm like, dude, tell me the verse. Go pull it out and read it right now. Put this song on right now. Like, and they'll come back to me. Like, maybe they won't do it then, but they'll come back to me, and I'll be like, dude, he can't rap. Oh, you got a gun, so you want to pop back? AK-47 down, nigga. Stop that. Cement shoes. Now you on the news. They can't find you. Now they miss you. Your family crying. Like, this, that's not just like, Snoop Dogg can't rap. He's terrible. He has, like, swag, if you will. Like, he became a persona early on. You know, people liked what he was doing early on. And, like, yeah, he is what he is. People think they want to hear Snoop Dogg commentate fights. I'm telling you, that's going to get old quick, like it did with UFC. When he commentated for the Dana White Contender Series, it got old real fast. Probably in week 2, it got old. So, you know, it's just nostalgia right now with Snoop. But tell me the last verse. You were like, damn, Snoop fucking ripped that shit apart. Damn, Snoop. Oh shit, Big Snoop. Yo, Big Snoop came in with the fucking wham. No, he never, nigga, not never. Snoop ain't never came in with a hot verse, not never. I don't think, shit, I'm sorry to hate on Snoop like that. I mean, that's what I'm saying, like, because I like his verses, but it's not, like, lyrical or anything. It's just, like, he's just living off who he is, in my opinion, which is, like, not a bad thing, necessarily. It's just, like, when I think people are confused with what they... See, now it's like, fuck, what am I saying here? Because I think people are confused. If they say he's a really good rapper, then what is your criteria of that? I mean, and it's like, maybe my criteria is completely different from your criteria. So, like, I don't know. But all I'm saying is, Snoop ain't the one. Snoop ain't the one. Just he ain't got no good verses. I mean, he got good verses. He's no lyrical shit. Like, he's got a good cadence, and like his verse on High Definition, dressed in something so fresh and wonderful, F-N, S-N-O-O-P. Man, I'm gonna look up that whole verse. We don't, cause this is my thing. Like he can do his thing. You know what I'm saying? He can do his thing, but he's not a lyrical person. And I don't think it necessarily, like, if it wasn't Snoop Dogg, if you brought somebody in to say these verses, you wouldn't put that verse. You wouldn't put the verse on the song if it wasn't Snoop Dogg. Oh my God, I come across the lyrics for this verse and I'm just like, Loopy and Snoopy, let's go wild. Tiptoe through the door and do it doggy style. And tell all my chicks in Chicago, Loopy hit the lotto, Snoopy hit the bottle, Dolomite tight, they bite, they might follow. Take this chill pill, little nigga swallow. Recital is very homicidal. The big screen will capture it because it's high definition. Listen, cooking collard greens in the kitchen. Them alphabet boys on a mission. If you ever get cash, you better get it quick fast because nowadays niggas get to snitching on your bitch ass. Like, this verse wouldn't make the album. like, bro, you don't have to rewrite that. But it's because of Snoop. You can do whatever you want. Even your boys best believe in them toys. Out your game. Especially when a nigga know your real name. Blam blam with the blammer. Smile nephew, you on candid camera. Film at 11. I didn't just say he came in with the wham wham. He literally says in this verse, blam blam with the blammer. That's in here. Blam blam with the blammer. Smile nephew, you on candid camera. Film at 11. Dressed in something so fresh and wonderful. F-N-S-N-O-O-P. He ends it up so smooth that I can't even hate on the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, blam blam with the blammer. Smile nephew, you on candid camera. Film at 11. Dressed in, and he just comes in and smooths it out. But all I'm saying is you niggas is confused with this Snoop Dogg shit. I'm trying to let you niggas know this nigga can't rap. This nigga can't rap. He's living off his his name at this point. Or he always has, actually. I mean, but whatever. I mean, isn't he just, like, at this point a comedy act? Like, he's not doing commentary because it's not because he's super knowledgeable of fighting or that, like, they respect his rap skills so much. They're like, yo, we just need you to come talk about these fights. It's because he's a comedy act at this point. He's got his GGN network, and that's a comedy show. He had his, like, pretty much everything he does at this point is a comedy act, if I'm not mistaken. Even, like, I felt like the song Sexual Eruption, like, the video for all that, I feel like pretty much everything he does is a comedy act at this point. He definitely didn't write Sexual Eruption, which is fire, but it's a fire-ass song. I think he didn't write that whole Ego Trippin' album. He probably doesn't write any of his stuff anymore, to be honest, but doesn't... Shit, nigga, pay me to write them verses. It won't take much. Blam, blam with the blammer. Smile, nephew, you on candid camera. Oh, my God. Blam, blam with the blammer. Anywho. I don't know how I got on that tangent. I think I'm looking at my notes here and I'm like, fuck, man. If I was saying at some point, pay attention and keep voting. Somehow? Is that what we're tying that back into? Pay attention and vote for every election. I think that's what I was trying to say. Happy belated birthday to Jay-Z. As I said, his birthday was December 4th. I wanted to do I was going to do this whole segment about Jay-Z and, like, what Jay-Z has meant to me and my life in hip-hop. What Jay-Z has meant to me as a black person. He didn't tell me to go out here and sell drugs. Hov did that. So I didn't have to go through it. You know, I didn't... I was going to have this whole segment talking about Hov. Happy birthday, Hov. But then I'm listening to the Joe Budden podcast yesterday, and them niggas have a hoe. They're like, it's Jay-Z's birthday yesterday. Let's talk about what Jay-Z means to us. And like, oh, like these niggas. And they just fucking just go in, and niggas just, but like, they're at the level where they're like, yeah, I sent Hov a sentimental text this morning. They're sending Hov text messages like, hey man, you did a lot for the game. Like, he's the standard. But you know, Hov is the standard, man. Like, Hov is what every rapper should be striving to be. You know, everybody can't be Hov now, but definitely that's what I feel like everybody should be striving to be. I mean, I feel like people could have their opinions on this. Like, I feel like if you're more of a Beyonce fan, you could have your opinion about that. But I feel like the merger of those two businesses between Jay-Z and Beyonce, I think it did more to raise the status, to elevate the status of Beyonce than it did for Jay-Z. Like, let's think about Beyonce beforehand when she was younger. I don't know, a lot of her music, it was just, you know, typical, you know, R&B music, breakup music, just, you know, regular music. And afterwards, after she got with Jay-Z pretty much, it turned into like, I don't know, like she's just like the most talented, most beautiful person ever in all of R&B. Of like, it just all of a sudden that was the narrative. And it was like all her music, everything she did all of a sudden had this like, this higher level of sophistication almost. Like her shit just like, her aura, she gained an aura once she started dating Hov. And I say Hov was Hov before Beyonce. Hov was who he is now after Beyonce. Hov's married. Hov has children, but he's still Hov. It's not like, I mean, Hov was stabbing niggas in clubs, yes, but it's not like Hov was out here wilding out, running out here with the skeezers. It's not like Jay-Z was out here doing that. So, like, I'd say maybe he's a little more tame somehow, even though he was one of our most wholesome dudes. Yeah, he may have stabbed a nigga in the club once or twice, but he was one of our most wholesome dudes. So, like, I think he elevated her status in the public's eye of who she, like, as far as her career. I'm not talking about, like, who she is as a person. I'm talking about, like, who the singer, the artist, Beyonce, was viewed as, and, like, her level, her public perception was heavily, like, raised, and she heavily benefited from the merger with the Jay-Z business, you know. Because, you know, Jay-Z's always been the definition of, like, a hustler, just all about his business, you know, not out here doing dirty things. I mean, he may have stabbed a nigga in the club once or twice, but he's still one of our most wholesome dudes out here handling business. He's not out here in these streets doing crazy shit. He's Hove. His wordplay is nuts. I've heard from many people where, like, I've heard of people talking about they've gotten a chance to interview Jay-Z. Like, people who've worked for, like, blogs and magazines here and here, like when I used to be on the blogs. And he would know about local artists from that person's town. Like, he has his ear that close to the street. Like, just some random interviewer he's talking to, he knows about local artists from that person's town that he should in no way, I feel like, have ever heard. But he's just, like, that's what I'm saying, man. He's about this music. He's not about that street shit. I mean, he may have stabbed a nigga in the club once or twice, but he has always been about that business shit. So happy belated birthday to Hove. He's the standard of how you want to age in this rap game, how you want to age in hip hop things, just how you want to conduct yourself in business and music in general. Not necessarily if you're at the club, because he may have stabbed a nigga or two. So you probably don't want to follow his footsteps as far as club etiquette, because he stabbed a nigga or two, allegedly. But happy birthday to Hove. All right? Happy birthday to Sean Carter, December 4th. I ain't gonna hold you much longer on that. As I told you, I had a whole segment planned, but then them niggas did it, and I was like, damn, this is gonna be super lame. It's like everybody's doing sentimental Hove fucking podcasts. You gonna fuck around and stab a nigga too. So, you know, as I was saying, if you guys know, I don't know, if this is your first time hearing this, you about to experience something so cold, man. So I like to, I really like listening to, like, prison YouTube channels. I like watching prison YouTube channels, and I don't like, a lot of these are popping up lately. A few of these I've seen pop up. Like, people have YouTube channels from prison. I'm not down with that at all. But people who tell their stories about their experiences in prison, like past experiences, those are pretty cool stories. Pretty cool. They're pretty interesting stories. Usually not cool stories at all. They're fucking crazy stories, man. Fucking crazy. Like, y'all should, if you checked out, like, Lockdown 23-1. I just came across this new channel. This dude, Jay Williams. He seems like a pretty cool dude. Pretty good stories. It's just, man, crazy, interesting stories, man. He was telling this one story about this fucking... They found out this dude was a fucking pedophile, murdered this infant, and this fucking ex-booty bandit came out of retirement and had the guy moved into a cell. And the Jay said the dude had him, like, hog-tied, fucking raping him, fucking putting out cigarettes in his back just for like a month and a half this was going on. Before somebody finally... wrote a note to the officers, like, yo, something's going on in that cell. and it's been going on for fucking a month and a half. And they said that nigga, the pedophile nigga, killed himself after that. Once he could finally get out of there, he just killed himself. So I be listening to them kind of stories, and it's getting a little dark in here. I be listening. Those are kind of stories. I listen to a lot of stories like that. It's just like you can sit here and pretend like these things aren't happening right now. Like the shit that I'm reading about, it's probably happening to thousands of people right now in prisons in America, and it's just interesting. Like I'm sure, like a lot of people, it's more comfortable to try to pretend like that's just something separate from us. Like those people made a bad decision, so like that's not separate from us. But those people, a lot of the crazy thing is like it'll be like these people are crazy, like booty bandit rapists, like notorious in their prison. They're like, yeah, and that guy's free now. That guy's free now. Like, so you guys can pretend like it's like people were like savage murderers in the prison. It's like, yeah, that guy's free now. Like, you guys can be like, oh man, it's like, well, they were bad. And it's like, but no, these stories are interesting. And not only are they interesting to hear and just to know that this is the kind of conditions that people are living in America, man. It's very interesting when you hear these stories and they're like, and that guy's free now. And it's like, shit, like, fuck. That guy sounds like a monster. Don't you guys want to know these monsters are out here? Don't you want to know about the monsters? But, so then I was on Reddit the other day, or today actually, and there was a post that was like, people of Reddit who have been to prison, can you tell us like some of the craziest things you've ever seen or some shit like that? And I was reading through some of the stories, and oddly enough, one of the stories like triggered a memory from high school, and I'm not sure if I've actually told this story here, but it made me think about high school. And it was this one time, back in high school, I went to Rufus King. I'm from the hood, but I never really hung with like street dudes, like, or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like necessarily street dudes. Like, I hung out in the street, but like street dudes. You know what I'm saying? And but at this point in high school, I was probably hanging out with some pretty shady individuals, ladies and gentlemen. And I had my PG friends, and I had my PG-13 friends. Borderline, I would say those guys were probably rated off friends. Them niggas was mature, and I was just a little boy. Look at that little boy. He don't know no better. So I was hanging out with these shady characters, and I don't know if I told the story here, but it's one day at lunch where there's three guys walking around in the group, and as I'm thinking back on the story, the third guy, I had never seen that guy before or after this day, so I'm thinking like there's a good chance he didn't even go to our school. But so I see these three. I'm just gonna drop their real names, so I don't care. It's Michonne and Charles walking together with this third guy, and they just looks like they're looking for somebody. It's like sophomore year, and they're looking for somebody. They're walking around looking for somebody, and so I didn't know what was going on at the time. I didn't know what was going on until what happened. And so they're walking around the cafeteria, and all of a sudden, like toward the end of the lunch period, I hear this like loud bang. All right, I hear a loud bang, and I rush over to where the bang was, and those three guys, Michonne, Charles, and this third guy, are surrounding this like freshman. It's like short, light-skinned freshman. I didn't know his name. I never spoke to him before, but they're like all like surrounding him. But only like the third guy that I've never seen before is like on the ground. And And Charles, who, by the way, was like 17, 18 at the time. I think he was like 18 because, like, I think he was held back previously from when he was younger. So, like, I was like 15 at the time. He was like 18. And the boy he's fighting was like 14. And Charles rushes the guy and fucking whack, fucking clack. Fucking, this little guy fucking clears Charles shit. Charles hits the ground. Michonne rushes and tries to get the guy. Clack. Fucking short guy clears Michonne out. And, like, now all three are on the ground. And, like, one by one getting up and trying to rush this guy. But, like, one by one getting clack, clack, clack. All getting knocked back down. It was like a fucking action movie. This kid was amazing, all right? It was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And I remember, like, some teachers, like, they're all getting their ass kicked, all right? And at some point, teachers came to try to, like, grab these guys and break it up. Because it's just, well, they're all trying to jump this kid. He's by himself. He's whooping all their asses. And the teachers come to grab the dudes, but, like, they're finally, like, trying to throw the teachers off of them, and, like, it's causing this whole commotion with the teachers. They're struggling with the teachers. They're having more success, like, fighting with the teachers than they are with this little boy, this little 14-year-old boy who's just whooping everybody's ass. He's just clearing house. Right, so I don't know if I mentioned this, but I didn't know those guys, but I was kind of friends with these shady individuals here, Michonne and Charles. And it was just like, you know, if I was ever at a crossroads, like, should I hang with these people or those people? It was like, and I'm watching them all just get their ass kicked there. And it's like, dude, definitely not hanging with these kids. Those guys, you just tried to jump a kid with one. That's fucking weird. You guys, so it's like, don't hang out with those guys. But not only did you just try to jump somebody, fucking, you all just got your ass kicked. That was a fucking insane fucking. It made me. I was reading these prison stories, and it made me think about it. The story I was hearing, if you guys want to hear, is pretty graphic. Also, this guy was saying he was in prison. I think he said he was just like walking, and he was just in line and walking down the stairs, and he said these three guys just like rushed past him, and then rushed into this cell, like behind him, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on? And then all of a sudden he just like hears all these screams, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on? And he said he finds out that those three guys went in there and they like held the dude down and like poured like boiling hot water on him, and then like just like stabbed him up like plenty times. And that's what went down. That's what made me think of this story. Those three dudes coming and jumping that dude made me think of when those three dudes came to jump this kid, and he beat the shit out of all three of them. And somebody murdered that little boy. Maybe within a year after that, somebody, I don't know if it's related, but he was shot and killed. I don't remember that little boy's name, but rest in peace to him. He had them hands. They tried to jump him. He had the hands. And what happened, man. It's unfortunate that he's gone. I don't know if it's related, but it's just like those are the two things that I know about the situation. Is that fight happened and that he was later murdered. That's all I know about. I don't even know the kid's name. So I don't know if they're related at all. That's all I know. But yeah, reading that prison story made me like fucking like, oh man, that's just like in high school. Three guys tried to jump that little guy. Little guy with the braids. I'm not going to talk about I've been hating on like those versus battles for so long, so I can't talk about them here. But they're gonna do Keisha Cole versus Ashanti, and that got me on this whole Keisha Cole kick for the past couple days here. Keisha Cole is so fire; she's so slept on, and I almost forgot how amazing her music is. But yeah, she's a beast. Been on a Keisha Cole kick. I don't think Ashanti's gonna have too much for her. I'm glad I waited to record. I've been trying to record earlier, but today I waited, and I'm glad I did. Floyd Mayweather announced that he's gonna be fucking boxing Logan Paul in February 20th, 2021. Now, I think Logan Paul is like 6'1"? Last time he fought, he weighed 199 pounds. Floyd usually fights at 147 pounds. So he's 6'2". Yeah, so Logan Paul is 25, 6'2". Floyd Mayweather is 5'8", 40 what? He's in his 40s. Got 72-inch reach. Okay. He's 43. Floyd is 43 years old. Man. I don't know. How did they know I was going to look for Logan Paul's reach? That just popped up the second I fucking hit that. How did they know? That's weird. I'm not seeing anything telling me his reach. They got these why is it? These niggas ain't no boxes. These niggas ain't no boxes. But yeah, I don't know, man. Floyd's gonna box this dude, and they're calling it like a fucking exhibition. So if this big ass fucking 6'2", 200-pound nigga fucking roided out of his mind. I'm looking at pictures of this nigga from 3 years ago. This nigga's massive compared to what he was 3 years ago. This nigga's roided out of his mind. I'm calling into question the drug testing that's going on here. What kind of malarkey is this? So if that big gigantic roided out man, them long ass arms, is able to put his hands on Floyd and somehow beat Floyd, 43-year-old Floyd, it shouldn't count as an official loss. But this is silly, man. It's really silly. I mean, as a person who likes boxing, they're just killing the sport. They're watering it down, and it's already been watered down with 2 million championship belts. It's like the second you sign up, the second you become pro, they just hand you a belt. Like, here you go. Here's the Jermaine Henderson fucking championship. There you go. Thanks for signing up. You can choose to fight if you want, or just stay the champion of your own weight class that we just created, because you're here. Oh, we got a 147-pound champ, so you're the 147.3-pound champ. WBC. Fucking, the sport's been dying for a long time, and I guess Floyd's gonna take it with him. But I'm gonna watch. I mean, it's gonna be a shit show, but I'm gonna watch, Gonna watch. This UFC this past weekend, we had, in the headline, there was only 8 fights. A lot of fights got pulled via COVID and other things, so it was just like, the original main event was, it was Jack Hermansson versus Kevin Holland. I guess 2 weeks ago, that's what the main event. But before that, it was Jack Hermansson versus Darren Till. but Holland stepped in because Darren Till re-injured his leg after the fight with Robert Whittaker. And so we had Vettori stepping in here to fight Hermansson, and right away I was like, dude, this is a bad matchup for Hermansson because Hermansson is good if he can be the hammer. We've seen in instances like against the Cannonier, when Cannonier could keep it standing and force him to strike, if he has to be the nail, he kind of folds. And they talked about it after this fight where he's known to just like fail if you just put that pressure on. He's known to just give up. He's known to quit if you put that pressure on him. So I was like, yeah, this is a terrible matchup because the way Vettori scrambles and the pressure, he just stays on you. I was like, this is a bad matchup for Hermansson. So in the first round, Vettori fucking drops Hermansson with this nasty left hand. Nasty straight left, just drops him. Could have finished the fight, but just like, I don't know. I think he was trying to preserve energy on the ground and just like went for a submission rather than staying on him with the ground and pound. And he gave Hermansson a chance to recover a bit, get back to his feet. So the round ended. Second round, Vettori just looked fucking comfortable on the ground in there with him. He looks comfortable everywhere. He just fucking looks flat out better than Hermansson everywhere. Standing up, he looks better than him in the clinch. He looks great, but it looks like fatigue is clearly setting in on Vettori, if not both individuals. But I gave the first 2 rounds to Vettori. And Vettori stuffs all takedowns in the third round. He's just fucking shutting down Hermansson, and he's still fucking landing heavy shots in the fucking stand-up. But both fighters are clearly slowing down at this point, and giving that 3 straight rounds to Vettori. His corner's telling Vettori that he's losing, that he was like, oh, you definitely lost that round. And it's like, dude, he stuffed every takedown and landed more. I think he clearly won that fight. Won that round. But his fucking coach is like, I'm going to say you lost that round. And just like talking all this crazy. I think he's just trying to keep him focused, because if he had it like, yep, you got it, you coast, like maybe he does let his guard down, you know. And I thought Vettori controlled the 4th round as well. And 5th round, both men just came out looking for a finish, but Vettori is just landing heavy shots. I thought he was going to get the finish, but Hermansson was able to fucking survive. And I gave it 50-45 in my opinion. All judges scored it for unanimous decision to Marvin Vettori. It was a dominant performance. So this like moves Vettori up to the top 5. And after dominating Hermansson, I just, this is like probably the second time, like, because I think when he fought Hermansson, I'm pretty sure that was like a short notice fight. Like he was scheduled to fight someone else, and then Cannonier stepped in to fight Hermansson short notice, and he ended up losing there when he was streaking. And that he just came off that victory against Kelvin Gastelum, and he was scheduled to fight Darren Till, and I think that would have been a little more favorable of a matchup, because I think just Darren Till, the way he fought Robert Whittaker, he's just a little more reserved now. So I think that would have been a little more favorable of a matchup for him than this matchup with Marvin Vettori. Because fucking styles make matchups, definitely. And it's just tough luck for Hermansson. I just didn't think that would be a good fight for him. And, he's definitely... I don't think he should be on the chopping block. We'll get to that soon, but it's just a tough break for him. Great win for Marvin Vettori, who's now in prime position to fight his next fight. He challenges Paulo Costa next. He wants to challenge Paulo Costa next. And with that victory, he's definitely probably, I'd say would be between him and Robert Whittaker about who would be the number 1 contender. But Robert Whittaker does not want to fight Israel Adesanya. So if Marvin Vettori defeats Paulo Costa, I see there's no reason why he wouldn't get his rematch against Israel Adesanya. Vettori looked great. He was composed. He was calm. Usually he rushes in. He gets angry. and just fucking goes balls to the wall. But he was composed that whole fight. His cardio stood up. It was great. Vettori looked great, and I think he will eventually get that rematch versus Adesanya. I think if anything, he'll probably be the next title challenger at 185 because, I mean, if they're still doing Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz at 205 in March, like, who's to say when we even get another middleweight championship fight, you know? Probably not until like June, July is what I'm guessing. It's unfortunate. I don't like this whole champions moving up thing. If you're gonna move up, drop the belt. I think the second you fight, the second that bell rings and the fight starts, he should have the champion whoever's moving up or moving down to fight for that other belt. You should have to vacate that belt the second the bell rings. Win or lose, vacate your previous belt. You've switched weight classes. Why are you gonna hold up this weight class and now, like fucking A? And if you win, then you're just gonna hold up everything. Like, nah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of these champ things. I seen that Amanda Nunes was talking about retiring. I'm all for that. She has 2 belts right now. I'm not for the champ thing. I'd be much cooler with her staying around if she would just drop one of the belts. Like, give somebody else a chance. Like, it's like, cool. You can fucking take those belts. I bet you could fucking get the nutritionist that she needs, diet the way she needs, and I bet she could go down and take the 125 belt. I bet she could go down and take the 115 belt, but why? Why would you do that? You're going to just let her hold all those belts? No, because it makes no sense. So why are you letting her hold both of these belts? Why? You know what makes no sense is that when Cormier had both belts, they made him drop a belt because, in my opinion, they saw that the 205 weight class was a little more competitive than the 145 weight class as far as the women, the women featherweights. And that shouldn't be the factor here. It should be the fact that if you could take that belt off her and possibly you get a championship with Felicia Spencer, but that would open up the fucking division. More people. You don't have a Cyborg over there. You don't have an Amanda Nunes, hopefully soon, where it's like you have these fucking behemoths, these unstoppable forces, where it's just like, who wants to see these fights? They talk about booking Megan Anderson versus Amanda Nunes, and everybody's like, what? Why would you book that? Because what else are you going to do? Even if you feel like this is going to be one-sided, who else could you put in there that you wouldn't feel like it would be one-sided? Fucking Valentina Shevchenko? So you're going to move Valentina Shevchenko, the champion at 125, to fight for another belt at 135, my nigga? No, it makes no sense. Makes no sense. Just fucking kill the noise. Just drop one of those belts or fucking retire, dude. Drop both of those belts, but drop one at least. Make her drop one. This makes no sense. Really makes no sense. But yeah, so I would like to see Vettori fight Paulo Costa next, and hopefully he can get a championship. So lastly here, I want to touch on... Oh, no. We're going to touch on some things. Well, next week, we got UFC 256. 3 weeks after the last pay-per-view, UFC 255 is the last pay-per-view of the year. We got Davidson Figueiredo headlining once again versus Alex Moreno. They both fought 3 weeks ago, and they're fighting this week. This is fucking amazing. I think it's the quickest turnaround for a champion, like back-to-back championship fights, championship defenses. So he's setting a record there. Well, if he successfully wins, which I think he's going to win. I feel like Alex Moreno is good, but like Davidson Figueiredo is just like, I feel like once he feels that power, I feel like once everybody feels his power, it's like the same thing with Amanda Nunes. Like, you can have all the confidence in the world, and then like with Holly Holm, like once Amanda Nunes landed, you just saw the expression on her face, and she just had that expression for the remainder of that fight. Like, holy shit! You see it when she hits Ronda Rousey the first time around. Ronda has no idea what the fuck just happened. Like, she's so strong. She hits these girls, and they just fucking fucks them up real bad. And that's what it is with Deiveson Figueiredo. And I think even though Alex Moreno is pretty good, and he has all the skills to win here, he has all the skills to be a champion, Figueiredo is just like, in his intensity, he's on a whole nother level. So I'm going at Figueiredo there in the main event. Even if there's a high probability for me, I think, is that Figueiredo wins that fight. In the co-main event, I'm pretty excited for you. Got Tony Ferguson versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira. I was going on these fucking Ferguson rants. I think Ferguson is overrated, and I think Oliveira is similar to Ferguson, except he's more precision. He's a little more precise with his shots, with the strikes that he puts out there. They both have that unorthodox style, but I think El Kukui just gets lucky, man. I think he gets fucking lucky out there, dude. Y'all can say whatever y'all want. That boy get lucky. Like, if he doesn't... He fought Edson Barbosa. And yeah, you could post a photo of Barbosa all bloody. Yeah, Barbosa, tapped out in the, second round or third round or whatever. Okay, cool. But are we just going to forget the fact that, like, Barbosa's on the ground and Tony Ferguson fucking kicks this nigga in the head and it clearly fucks Barbosa up. He's, like, out of it, like, super wobbly. But then Barbosa's just like, no, we can fight. It's like, no, bro. That was an illegal fucking shot. It was dirty as fuck. And there's no way that kick did not affect Barbosa for the rest of the fight. But all you niggas want to talk about is the fact that Tony won. Tony comes back, fights Anthony Pettis, gets dropped like twice in the first round. They're getting these scrambles, but he gets dropped twice. Tony wins the fight because Duke Rufus throws in the towel. He doesn't let Anthony Pettis go in for a second round because during the exchanges, Anthony Pettis breaks his hand. So Duke Rufus is like, well, I'm not going to send you in there with one hand since you can't use that hand, so I'm not going to send you in there. So they stopped the fight. But as I mentioned, he was dropped twice. Like right away, he was dropped twice by Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis broke his hand, so he wins that fight. He gets lucky, man. I felt like fucking Kevin Lee was in control of that fight, but he got tired. And that's usually the story with Kevin Lee, is that he comes on strong and then he gets tired. And I felt like that's what it was there. I felt like he was in control of that fight until he got tired. And if he had his cardio in check, he would have won that fight, and we would have got Kevin Lee versus Khabib, which I think we know how that fight would have ended. But I think Tony's overrated. In my opinion, I think Charles is going to really fucking outclass this man. I think Charles Oliveira, hear my words right now, Charles do Bronx Oliveira will outclass Tony Ferguson at UFC 256. You got Jacare Souza taking on Kevin Holland. I'm pretty hyped for that. Holland, as I was saying, was originally supposed to fight this past Saturday, against Jack Hermansson. But he tested positive for COVID about a week or two ago, so they switched fights. Marvin Vettori was originally supposed to fight Jacare Souza this upcoming Saturday. But because of the COVID test, the positive test for Kevin Holland, which isn't this like the second time that Holland tested positive? I'm not sure. Maybe the previous time I'm thinking about was an injury, and that's why he pulled out of that fight. But yeah, so Kevin Holland's fighting Jacare Souza. That's going to be pretty great to look at. You got Junior Dos Santos. Junior Dos Santos taking on Cyril Gane. That's going to be a real interesting fight. Cyril Gane, he's pretty great, like with his kickboxing, his striking. He's just a pretty good prospect. So this is a good fight to see where that guy's at. I'm pretty open with the fact that I don't really like heavyweight fighting, but people like Junior Dos, I was like, unless you're in the top 10, top 15, it's usually like people who just gas themselves out within the first round. And it's just like, well, who's going to hit the other person harder? Because they're both gassed out. Who's going to be the first person to hit this guy harder? Because they're both just fucking gassed out. It's gross. But in that top 15, you got people like Alistair Overeem and shit who are heavyweights that can actually fight 5-round fights. It's like, are you guys not fighters? Why don't you guys all look like Stipe and Alistair? I don't understand that shit. Anywho, also you got Tisha Torres versus Angela Hill. So that's going to be an interesting fight. I don't want to see either of those ladies lose that fight. But I would love to see Angela Hill win. So there's that. It's going to be an interesting fight. Lastly here, before we get out of here, Yoel Romero was recently released by the UFC. When Dana White was asked about the release, he was like, Yoel lost 4 of his last 5, and he's 44 years old. He's like, and that's like, well, okay. Can't argue against that. All right? He's lost 4 of his last 5, and he's 44. Yeah, I guess that's... Can't argue against releasing him just because he's a popular person. But he also goes on to say that roughly 60 fighters will be cut from the UFC by the end of the year because the roster is so inflated. And at first I was like, fuck, 60 fighters? That's crazy, bro. 60 fighters? Because it's December 6th, bro. You're going to cut 60 fighters in fucking, 25 days? 25 days? It's 31 days in December. You're going to cut all these people in a matter of days, but then it's like, when you look into it, the UFC currently has more fighters signed. The UFC has more fighters under contract than the NBA has players under contract. I think the NBA has somewhere around 500, 600 players under contract, and the UFC has, I think, a little bit over 700 people under contract. So if that makes any sense to any of you guys, I don't think it does. So at first I was like, 60 people, but at the same time, it's from what I was looking at something that said that CM Punk is still under contract, which I don't know if they're going to cut CM Punk or whatever, but from what I'm hearing, he's still under contract with the UFC. Cowboy Cerrone is probably on the chopping block. He's lost his last 4 or 5 fights, and every time he loses, Dana White's like, oh, I think it's time to have a conversation with Cowboy. After every fight, he keeps saying this, and now he's talking about cutting people. So I saw this on Twitter. It was a list of people that people think should start panicking. It's Cowboy Cerrone, Luke Rockhold, Chris Weidman. I don't know about Weidman. Weidman just got a win, so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he didn't take the fight against Khamzat, so I think that might go against him. John Dodson, I thought he already was fired. I think Dodson's already cut. It says Jared Gordon. I don't see that happening, but it could. It says any male or female flyweight not in the top 8, maybe. Jeremy Stevens, I would say, he's probably on the chopping block. Brad Tavares, probably on the chopping block. Maurice Shogun Rua, he's probably being cut. He just lost pretty badly, if I'm not mistaken. It says Yair Rodriguez, people are thinking. I don't know. I mean, Yair just got suspended for 6 months, but he's able to, I think they said he's eligible to fight in February or March. So I don't think there's any reason for them to cut Yair. That would be dumb. Junior Dos Santos is fighting, as I said. I mentioned that before, and I think if he loses, he'll probably be cut from the UFC. You got Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown, old guy fight. I think whoever loses that fight most likely will be cut, if not just both. Oh, Vince St. Preux just fucking lost. I think he's the most confusing, most frustrating fighter for me to watch. I thought he was going to win that fight last night. And it's just like, I don't know. It felt like the experience and everything, like he should have won that fight. He should have been able to do some things, but he just kind of like was a deer in the headlights last night. So he might be on the chopping block. Got Robbie Lawler, who's been looking terrible his last few fights. He's probably on the chopping block. Rachel Ostovich, who said before this last fight that if she loses, this is most likely her last fight. And she lost, so by stoppage, basically TKO. So she's probably being cut. You got Tyron Woodley, who might be cut. He's been looking pretty bad his past few fights. I'm thinking like Nick Diaz might personally be on the chopping block. Just because like whenever someone mentions Nick Diaz or any of the Diaz brothers to Dana White, he just fucking gets visibly disgusted. Like it's like I don't deal with the Diaz brothers. You gotta talk to this guy. It's not about me. I don't do anything Diaz. But yeah, he looks fucking visibly disgusted anytime somebody mentions the Diaz brothers. And I think lastly, I don't know if Betch Correa, I think I saw that she was cut and then they were like she got booked for one last fight. Did that happen already? Or I don't know. But I think if she's not cut already, she's gonna be cut. I think it says Court McGee is still on contract. If he's still on contract, he's Angela Hill tests positive for COVID and will not be fighting Tisha Torres, which is good, I guess. I mean, not good that she tested positive, but I didn't want her to fight Tisha Torres. But as I'm glad, see, this is why I try to wait, because usually I'll record and then it'll be like, oh, this fight's not happening, that fight's not happening. Pretty much everything you talked about is a waste of time. It's like how it happens. But so I guess breaking news, Tisha Torres and Angela Hill, that fight is off of the card. So I'm happy neither one of those ladies will take a loss, but get well soon to Angela Hill. Hopefully COVID doesn't affect her too terribly. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys social medias. If you want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, you can follow at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal accounts at My Name is Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you got Xbox One, go ahead and add me. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. If you guys got Twitch, go ahead and add me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. Sorry, one time. Just want to log in here. If you guys want to go ahead and check out the merchandise, buy a t-shirt or two, go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. Don't just be my Negro, be my patron. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. And if you niggas got TikTok, go ahead and add me at Babylon5Podcast. This is your boy, Jermaine Event. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. I thought this was going to be a short episode, but it actually turns out to be one of my longer episodes. I'll go ahead and get up out of here. Thank you guys so much. This is episode 68. Decriminalize it. Decriminalize it. Decriminalize it. Episode 68. It's your boy Jermaine Event. Thank you guys so much for being here. Take care of yourselves and each other. I'll see you next week. Peace.